Hi all, just come back from the British Championship. I'm feeling a bit tired. I can do with a rest now, holiday from the tournament. The culture of getting up, preparing for players. Torquay was very nice though. I had a great time as a holiday as well. Okay, let's look at the last round. I was playing Andrew Lewis, and if I'd beaten him I would have got more than 50%. I would have got 6 out of 11. As it was, I ended up with 5 out of 11. I still gained quite a few rating points, did much better than last year, and some of my games were on the relay boards. So against Andrew I wanted to play more sharply than the previous game against Cobb, where I felt I could do better with the open centre, because I thought in the game against Cobb, it really only started having opportunities once I got in f4 and got some roads to the opponent's king. I thought, well, if I go for an open centre this game, maybe that will favour my tactical ability. So I played e4 and went into the main line. 3 of his opponents had played c3 Sicilians against him in this tournament, so I think this was a welcome change for him that I played the open Sicilian, and I had looked at this knight c6, prepared bishop g5, standard move, queen d2. So the interesting thing about this, I thought I could transpose it into kind of English attack system, but he knew about this idea of transposing. So f3. I also looked, John Nunn seems to have played this position of f4, bishop e2, knight f3, and moving the rook to the centre. So that's kind of the way John Nunn's played it. That's interesting as well. But I thought this was interesting because there's been a chess games consultation game where the master played this and then later retreated the bishop to e3. So it's a kind of transpositional trick to the English attack system. So he played bishop e7 and after h4. I don't want to move the bishop immediately, I want to wait for h6. But he plays h6, and now after bishop e3 he plays h5. So he's restraining my pawns. It's a good idea. And in a previous round, some couple of the strong GMs had played this, and black had won with this h5. So was there potential in the white position? Well, I thought so, because there's another way now white to play, instead of going for g4, which is now impossible, just to take on c6 and target d6. Now the theme of this video, I think, is it's not like the movies. So in the movies, in the GM games I looked at in the morning, they play e5 and then you play bishop g5 and then you take on f6. They have double pawns. You play f4, f5. You target h5 and you win with your h4 pawn. That's in the movies. Some high-level game had that. In this game, though, my opponent just plays queen a5 to my shock horror, just leaving d6 in pre. And he also, he spent a long time on this. And that sort of gave this kind of tactical assurance that this was okay. And Rybka, of course, looks at it with 1 second and says it's not okay. White can just take on d6 here with a big advantage. Now I wonder if you can visualize this. Can you take on d6? So there's certain questions to answer. What if rook d8? What if castle's queenside? Can you answer these questions? After bishop d6, castle's queenside, what would you be playing in that position? Can you actually visualize it from here? Because for some reason, trust crept in. The opponent taking a long time, but there's a resolution of resources available. If someone isn't playing, what's a top GM game, and is seemingly having the luxury now to just ignore the pressure on d6, there must be some underlying tactical reason. And I played just a quiet, safe move. I played king b1, but it gives black, what he wants. His queen's now, kind of good, and it's as if d6 is immune, and it's not actually the case. Bishop takes d6. Let's have a look. So castles, and he had been looking at e5s. Now e5 is probably an okay move too, but just not as good as there's another very good resource now at white's disposal. I wonder if you can spot it if I give you 10 seconds. That's not very generous. We'll stop the video. So starting from now. Okay, I mean, there's a very nice can we call it a computer resource or simply resource? It's a resource in the position. The queen's en prie. It's a tactical liability. This bishop's also a tactical liability. There's a move here, knight b5. And just white will be getting a big advantage. It's obvious now, of course. So the knight's protecting the bishop. So if the queen's come off, you know, black has the bishop en prie, and the knight is protecting the bishop. So, you know, white's just doing very well here, taking on e7. There's nothing for black. Look at this. And, you know, one feature, you know, if the position's more open, it's good to get the two bishops. And that's something which echoes later in the way I lost. I voluntarily gave up one of the bishops. So I had this mood to have an open centre in this game. If you have that mood, you know, think, you know, what are the associated, you know, good and bad things about an open centre? Okay, king vulnerability, or possibility of tactics, yes, but also, you know, raking bishops across the centre, and I gave the opponent raking bishops, as we'll see later soon. So king b1. So I've let the opponent off the hook for the d6 pawn. Let's see, by the way, if he had, you know, played like in the movies that I'd seen, bishop g5, you know, something like this, you know, bishop takes is pleasant because of the d5 square. You know, this would be nice, maybe. And if he takes with, you know, g pawn, that's even worse for d5 actually, and maybe there's even more options. So basically he didn't play d5, and he played e5. You know, that's interesting. I wasn't quite sure what to do here. I was actually looking at bishop e5, which is what Rivka's coming up with here. I did check out bishop e5. I don't really want to play e5. It's like a good French defence. I think white has nothing here, and Rivka thinks white has nothing as well. So knight d7. With that, there's no pressure on black's position anymore. It's all gone. I'm protecting black's position on this pawn on e5. So here, bishop e5. Let's have a quick look at that. So maybe the threat is now takes and takes on d5. So say black does d takes. Queen f4, queen a5. Is white better here? Or f takes e4. Well, at least there's some pressure on the black position. So say castles, and the king isn't that great, and this pawn isn't that great. But let's follow this through a little bit. So bishop c7 here. e3 harassing the queen again. Bishop e5. It's a playable position. It's nothing great though. So I don't know. This then questions, was like the knight c6 idea that great in any case? If we rewind back, if black's got d5, was it that great? In this position, what was Rivka? Well, Rivka is sort of saying knight takes c6, but not with the idea of bishop f4. Here, rook h3 is a candidate move. Queen f2, king b1. What does queen f2 do? Does it just try and restrain d5? If d5 here, it's queen g3, so it's hitting g7. And that's kind of useful. So white might be okay here. Bishop d4, pointing at black's king. That's nice. That's the kind of thing I wanted before the game. You know, an attacking open centre. So this is looking okay. I mean, black's pawn is now isolated, but that's not so bad. Oh, there's an exchange to win here. Sorry, the rook has to move. So we like knight e4 now. So that's a different game. Okay, so we've reached this position after knight takes c6, and he didn't play what I'd seen in the Grandmaster games. It just confused me. Queen a5, but there's a very, you know, distinct tactical reason, and it requires, you know, even if the opponents had a deep think, you know, they might miss such a tactical move. So taking on d6 appears to be the best move. So I played king b1, and now rook d8. So the opponent's still got the possibility of castling kingside, which he does pretty soon. But first, after launching a kind of attack against my kings, queen's reached a nice position on the diagonal to support the bishop munching later. I probably overstepped the 10 minutes line, so I'll stop for this part. Please try and digest this position. It's, white's still apparently doing okay here, but yeah, there's some ideas so far. So please leave any comments or questions on YouTube before I go on to the next part. Thanks very much.